In this session, we are going to talk about the introduction part of TM1, and we'll also discuss about the what are all the components we have got in TM1 and how far we can go with this particular TM1 tool. Okay, so the version which we are learning here is 10.2.2. That's the latest version. Okay, in TM1, and TM1 stands for Table Manager 1. And when it comes to the definition part of TM1 is a in-memory OLAP 64-bit multi-dimensional tool. Okay, when I say in-memory, we have got RAM memory. We don't have any database here. I request you to please keep your mic on mute. If you have any questions, you can unmute and you can ask. Otherwise, just keep it on mute, please. Or else you can type in the chat window, please. So when it comes to the definition part, TM1 is an in-memory OLAP 64-bit multi-dimensional tool. So in memory, we are talking about inbuilt RAM memory, or the RAM memory which is there in your server machine or in your physical machine. So we don't require any database here, SQL Server, Oracle. We don't require any database to store our information. Whatever the information which we are storing is going to be stored in TM1 RAM memory. Either it is 30 GB, 50 GB, 100 GB, 1 TB, 2 TB of RAM memories. Depends upon the size of the project or the number of cubes which you are going to handle. You are going to store the data in that particular RAM memory. All right. So in memory, OLAP. Only the analytical processing is done here, and we don't do any transactional processing over here in TM1. When I say analytical, we do what if analysis. TM1 is mainly meant for what if analysis. Say for example, if I have revenue of $10,000 and if I want to increase it by another $15,000, what should I do to my sales? What should I do to my bad debts? So these kind of what if analysis and all will be performed. Either it is in finance project, sales project, whichever the project you take. So these are the parameters which are usually done in TM1 environment. So when it comes to implementation part, so for example, if I say one of the typical project which I'm going to explain you now a little bit, which we are currently working on, we have a PeopleSoft application which is an ERP system where data is getting entered into it, and on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, some of the data is getting entered, or it is getting entered over there in PeopleSoft, in ERP system, which has got a database Oracle. So we connect to that particular Oracle database through our inbuilt ETL tool called Turbo Integrator. We don't need to go for any third-party ETL tool also. We have got our inbuilt ETL tool called Turbo Integrator. We connect to it and we retrieve the data from the database into the TM1 system on a consolidated basis, on an aggregated basis. Say for example, if you have for a cost center, let's say a cost center is number is 100, the 100C, let's say. For 100C, you might have 10 transactions, 20 transactions. The consolidated figure of those 10 or 20 transactions is moved into 100C in TM1. If I put it in a layman words, I would say I have taken money from say for example X, and I have given that money to Y, I have given that money to Z, I have given that money to A, B, C, now to many parties, and on a monthly basis they are giving that money to me, paying that money back to me. Whatever the amount they owe, they are giving back to me. So the aggregation of that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 head of accounts which is moved to X, or that information which is moved to X. So how much money is being lended to them, how much money they have repaid on a monthly basis or on a daily basis, the aggregated information is only retrieved or is only posted into the TM1 environment, not the transactional information. We don't require any transactional information in TM1 environment. So this is primarily what we do in TM1 when it comes to loading of data and when we are handling the data in the TM1 environment. Okay, so as I mentioned, TM1 is an in-memory OLAP 64-bit. It comes in two versions. One is 32-bit and 64-bit. Usually we means as a project manager, as a solution architect, I recommend to go with 64-bit on a 64-bit machine because you'll have 2048-bit encryption available in TM1. Whereas if you are going with 32-bit operating system and 32-bit TM1 environment, you will have, or you will end up with having only 1024-bit encryption. The double the time over there, the encryption is possible in TM1 64-bit. So that's one advantage for protecting your client data. Okay, and at the same time the processing speed. For example, if it is in 32-bit, it will process around 172 transactions per millisecond. It can because it's all inbuilt RAM memory, so we don't need to have any database here. So that's the maximum number of transactions that can be handled. 172 transactions per millisecond it can handle. Okay, for 32-bit. When it comes to 64-bit, it can handle up to 564. I mean, no, this is theoretical stuff. So 564 transactions can be handled per millisecond. You know, that's the fastest nature of loading the information or retrieving the information or handling the information in TM1. It all depends upon various factors. So when those factors are provided, this is the information that can be handled in TM1. Literally, I'll give you one more example. We have one project where we are asked to load data on a daily basis, around 1.6 million transactions from SQL Server machine, SQL Server database into TM1 cubes. So we have the data in the form of cubes here. So when we are asked to load the data, the requirement of the client is I want you to load the data in less than 10 seconds. So with certain functions, we have loaded the data in 6 seconds. 1.2 million records or 1.6 million records have been loaded into TM1 through Turbo Integrator inbuilt ETL tool, because we don't need to go for any third-party ETL tools like Informatica, Abnitio. We don't need to go with that. With an inbuilt ETL tool, we were able to load it in just less than 6 seconds. Subjective, no users should be connected, no data transfers should happen apart from this particular major transfer which is happening, and we block other transactions. So we have provided those conditions and we have loaded the data. When you compare this tool with your Cognos planning or your Hyperion planning, HFM, other tools, for loading the data itself you will take 3-4 hours over there, and then you do the what if analysis in Hyperion SBase or Cognos planning environment, various environments. But here you are completing in 6 seconds, loading the data, and by the time you load the data in Cognos planning, here the what if analysis is already completed. So that is the primary reason why clients or customers are preferring TM1 than any other tool in the market. One more major advantage is we don't have a database, so the cost has come down in terms of database procurement. When it comes to ETL tools, whenever you have a database, you should have an ETL tool. So we don't have that ETL tool concept also over here. I mean, third-party ETL tool. So that cost also has come up, and the duration of loading the data and population of data and all has definitely come up. That is one more advantage we take it in this particular model. And on top of it, Cube is very easy to handle, and you can just copy it into your pen drive and you can deploy it wherever you want. Okay. And when it comes to the subject wise, or when it comes to the features of TM1, we can do planning, budgeting and forecasting. Planning, budgeting and forecasting. These three are the environment, I mean, these three are the important factors that can be handled in TM1 for your finance project or sales project or whichever it may be in the TM1 environment. What is the difference between Cognos planning and Cognos TM1? And why IBM is preferring TM1 than Cognos planning? IBM decided to shut down Cognos planning by 2016 December. So that is one of the reasons why customers wants to move from planning to TM1. What is not available in planning is your budgeting concepts. We don't have a budgeting concept in planning. We only have got forecasting, and actuals can be handled over there. But in TM1 we can do all these three. Okay. And there you require a third-party ETL tool, you require a database there. Here it doesn't require that part. When you compare TM1 with Hyperion, we need to have Hyperion HFM planning model, and on top of it SBase, a separate model for consolidation of data and all. So on top of it, we require an ETL tool, we require a database. All these environments have to be handled. So these are the primary factors why customers are choosing TM1 than any other products in the market. And on top of it, what IBM is doing nowadays is they are offering a TM1 for free of cost who wants to migrate the data from planning to TM1. If you are a planning customer from past 3-4 years, they are saying for free of cost you can move to TM1 and you pay us the support charges, which is hardly 120,000, 160,000 per annum. So that doesn't cost much to the client. So that's the a deal which they are giving it nowadays for doing what if analysis on a particular product. So as I mentioned to you that TM1 is a inbuilt and in-memory OLAP 64-bit multi-dimensional tool. When I spoke about when I speak about multi-dimensional concept, what happens here is we handle the data in the form of TM1 cube, where we have couple of dimensions. Like you might have immediately a doubt, sir, do we have any fact and dimensions, or do we require any fact information to handle the data? So it's primarily that is how you look into this information and you post the data and retrieve it from the environment. So that's one factor which you look into it. Okay, so these are the TM1 components which are coming with 10.2.2 version. One is architect, second one is perspectives, third one is web client, application portal, which is as good as your Cognos portal, fourth one is your performance modeler, fifth one is Cognos Insight. So these are the important products or features which are available in 10.2.2 version. The major shift which happened between older version and the newer version of 10.2 and 10.1 is until 10.1 the platform is dependent on .NET environment, but from 10.2 onwards the platform is moved to Java based environment, completely Java based environment. Okay, so along with architect and perspectives, we have two new features called performance modeler and Cognos Insight, where you can also integrate with your Cognos BI environment, and you can perform some whatever the reports which you are developing in your report studio, analysis studio, and creating a dashboard and all, you can create them over here also. That is one advantage. So people will compare here, sir, how do I compare TM1 with Cognos BI environment? TM1 is an analysis tool, Cognos BI is a reporting tool. Okay, let us put this way. Sir, can you explain any integrity between both the tools? I can explain. That is a common question which I usually get at this level. I have one project with me where data is getting entered in PSA, which has got a database called Oracle, and that is being pulled into TM1 cube, and my TM1 cube is acting like a data source for framework manager in Cognos BI. From that, I'm creating a package. Under that package, I have got some reports, and I'm publishing the reports to the customer. That is how usually I'm handling the data, rather than me directly taking the data from Oracle to framework, or Oracle to your data warehouse, and from there having an SSIS tool, or your Informatica tool, ETL tool to load the data into that particular data warehouse, and from there that information comes into the framework manager and on top of your reports. Instead of doing this, my cube refreshing is happening every 1 hour or every half an hour. It's just taking only hardly 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So that advantage I'm taking, and I'm loading that information into the reports or bursting the reports. So this is how usually the environment setup is done in the organizations. So where does this Cognos Insight play a major role? Next question you might have in your mind. What IBM said is, if this is the process which you are following, only for the sake of reports, you are going to Cognos BI or creating a dashboard environment and all. For this sake, you can alternatively use Cognos Insight. Cognos Insight gives you an advantage of creating a dashboard and write back functionality and all these kind of opportunities. You can have it in Cognos Insight. Okay, so that is one advantage, you can have it there. Okay, let us talk about the architecture. Before we go into the architecture, we'll talk about the versions in TM1. TM1 is having many versions, starting from Cognos TM1 7, Cognos TM1 8, Cognos TM1 9, 9.1, 9.4, 9.5. Of course, subversions are definitely there: 9.4.1, 9.4.2, 9.5, 9.5.1, 2, and all. The primarily used version is 9.4 and 9.5. I mean, majorly used in the environment, in the organizations. Maybe if you are creating a resume, I mean, if you are putting a resume in the market saying that I have got TM1 experience from past 3 years or 4 years, let's say if that is the case, then I would recommend you to put 9.5 or 9.4 version, and also cook in such a way that you are migrating the data from 9.4 or 9.5 to 10.1 or 10.2 new versions. It all depends upon which version you are procuring in the current company. So the migration plan and all will be given to you. So when as the time goes on, I'll give you the comparison between the older version and the new version, because the reason is, if you don't know what is there in the older version, and when you land up in the interview and you say that I have worked on performance modeler in 9.4 version, definitely it will show you an impact, and show an impact in such a way that you have not worked in the real-time environment. Okay, so we will handle it in a better fashion as the time goes on. What is there in 9.4, not what is there in 9.5 and 10.1 and 10.2. Okay, so now typically people will come to me and ask a question: sir, I would like to install Cognos BI in my machine. Can I install TM1 also? Yes, you can install. Is it required? Mandatory? It is not required. It is not mandatory to have Cognos BI and TM1. Sir, if I want to have both of them in my machine, which one will be easy? Easy in sense, because they both belong to Cognos environment and IBM products. What is shared between them? I would like to know. Security can be shared. If you are Cognos BI, if you already set up a Cognos BI environment, security that can be shared with TM1. The same users can access to TM1 also. You can restrict them, but you can share the security. In order to share the security, we have a Cognos configuration utility tool. Okay, this Cognos configuration utility tool can be shared between TM1 and BI, Cognos BI. In BI, you already know that, if you are already aware of BI, you will have a report studio, analysis studio, query studio, and your metric studio. All these kind of studios are available over there for creating the reports and publishing it to the customer under your packages, or under your my folders, or wherever it may be. Similarly, that can be done in your Cognos Insight. Okay, so in order to do that, if you share your Cognos configuration tool 10.2 version with your customer, I mean, with on the client server side, my bad, on the server side, the advantage which you can take it is the ports can be shared easily, and the installation is done in a easy manner. So under a Cognos configuration utility file, we'll have one TM1 admin server, and multiple application servers. Admin server is like a mother server. When you log in into admin server, you'll have multiple application servers over there. You can retrieve the information from that particular application server. So what is the point of having an application server? Bifurcation of traffic. The advantage with application server is bifurcation of traffic. What do you mean by bifurcation of traffic? Sir, I would say, let's say we have 100 members from finance team, 100 members from marketing, 100 members from administration department. So all these 300 people need not to connect to one application server to retrieve the data or to post the data. We will create multiple application servers, or 3 application servers for 3 environments, 3 departments, and we'll ask them to post the data in different environments. Such way you can bifurcate the traffic. Okay, standard templates are there, like each user can consume around 20 MB of RAM memory, will be consuming 20 MB of RAM memory, and that is how you have to procure your RAM memory in the organization. And on top of it, we have web servers as well. You can configure your own web server. Apart from it, by default, you will have Apache Tomcat in 10.2, IIS in older versions. Okay, until 10.1 you have IIS, Internet Information Services, and in 10.2 onwards you have Apache Tomcat. Okay, so that is what you usually have it in 10.2 version, web application servers. And from there you have got web clients, desktop clients and web clients. Desktop client is Standalone machine, you can have your architect perspectives can be installed. Web clients are TM1 web, and your performance modeler also can act like a web client, and your Cognos Insight also can act like a web client. And these are all the clients which can be taken into consideration. This is a web architecture. Under, as I mentioned, one Apache Tomcat is by default, which is coming up in the web application server, and from there it can support any web browser wherever you go with. Okay, and as we already discussed about the definition part, TM1 is an in-memory OLAP 64-bit multi-dimensional tool. When I talk about multi-dimensional concept, I have a diagram. You can see the comparison chart here, which I'm going to share with you. The planning versus TM1, what is available planning, what is not available in planning, and what is available in TM1. You can see the comparison chart from here. Here is a diagram. Multi-dimensional concept you can see from here. Regions, products, data. When it comes to regions, you have got Washington, New York, and San Francisco. And when it comes to the products, you have got 3 products. Data, which is nothing but the time dimension. This is the product dimension and region dimension. So in the intersection of Washington, Orange, and February, we have some information posted over here. That is the intersection cell which we go and we retrieve the information. That can be handled, that can be done for actuals, which is planning, which also can be done for forecasting, that also can be done for budgeting concepts. So these are all the things which can be taken into consideration. Typical example which I can give you is, sir, you might have a question here. When you are asked to prepare a budget statement, how is it going to happen in TM1? Typical example. Let's say I own a company and I have 3-4 departments in that, and I have asked my customers or my business analyst to prepare a budget statement for 2017. Since you are in 2016, you are asked to prepare a budget for 2017. So what is the cutoff limit? I would say I'll give you $100,000 and you prepare a budget statement for all your 4 departments. You will come up with a solution. First version will come up will be with for marketing you want to use $20,000, for HR you want to use $10,000, for finance you want to use $30,000. Like that you will come up with a solution and you will propose it to the management. They might revise it or they will agree it on or before 31st December 2016, because from 1st January onwards your budget will commence, budget year should commence. So that has to be taken. Before that it has to be approved by any means. Then after finalizing the budget, I will ask you to prepare a forecasting statement. Okay, say $10,000 is allocated for marketing. How you are going to spend the $10,000 for next 3 months or 6 months for marketing department or for any other departments? You will come up with a solution saying, sir, for January I would like to spend $2,000, February $1,000, March $2,000. Like that you will come up with a solution. I'll agree with your forecasting statement also, no denial in that. But when I land up in January 2017, I'll ask you to book your actuals. Now you book your actuals. Now after booking your actuals for the month of January, I will compare your actuals versus forecast versus budget. I'm repeating my statement once again. I'll compare your actuals versus forecast versus budget. What is budgeted? $10,000. Perfect. What is forecasted? $2,000 for January. What is accounted, or what is the actual figure which you have entered? $1,800. Okay, you are well within the forecast. You said $2,000, but you have spent only $1,800 or $1,800. Pretty good. If it is beyond that or the threshold, we'll put some threshold values also. If it is going beyond that, or if it is any interim budget has to be approved and all, we'll take that also into consideration. But justification has to be given. So this is what we will achieve in finance projects, in sales projects, or in any domain, whichever the domain you take. This is what we are going to achieve in TM1. Practically speaking, these are all the 3 keywords: actual, forecast, and budgeting. These are the 3 keywords which you are going to implement in TM1. Pretty sure, that is how usually it happens.